for disabled American veterans. Today we launched the effort for the PAWS Act of 2021. That's the Puppies Assisting Service Members Act of 2021. What this act would do is require the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs to provide $25,000 vouchers for veterans who need a service dog because of their severe post-traumatic stress. At Canines for Warriors, for the last 10 years, we have seen the magic of what a service dog can do for a disabled veteran who's suffering from truly extreme PTSD. We are on the front line of fighting veteran suicide. We see our warriors' lives turn a 180 from hiding at home, not going out to stores, not being moms and dads, not working, not being out in the world, not being the people they used to be before they went off to war, to becoming themselves again. Our warriors stop their prescription drugs. They go back out into the world. 87% of them go back to school or go back to work or do more work or more school. Most importantly, Canines for Warriors has served over 660 veterans. 72% of them have attempted to take their own life before we get to them, and we have only lost one, and we are beating the odds. That's why this act is so important and why it must be passed. We are fighting veteran suicide. These dogs work in that fight. Unfortunately, as of today, the VA has not agreed with us. In fact, if you went on their website, even this morning, it says that a service dog does not help a veteran with post-traumatic stress, and there's no science to prove it. Canines for Warriors has partnered with Purdue University and so far published 6 peer-reviewed hard science articles saying the exact opposite. And just a couple of weeks ago, the VA agrees with us with their own study that a service dog that's properly trained can help a veteran with post-traumatic stress better than just any old dog or a pet. So the excuses are all gone. The time is now. We have to pass the PAWS Act of 2021. We need to fight veteran suicide and help our disabled veterans. The man who's been on the front line of that fight is my personal friend, Sheriff Rutherford, congressman from Jacksonville, who's introduced this act along with 3 other incredible members of Congress, Waltz, Pappas, and Stivers. You get to hear from all of them and from 2 of our incredible warriors today. So thank you all for being here. Thank you for the members for stepping up to the plate in your leadership. Congressman Rutherford.
Thank you. Thank you, Rory, and thank all of you for being here this morning. And I really want to thank my bipartisan colleagues here who saw this need and stepped up early in this fight for our veterans. We have Representative Pappas, Representative Stivers, and Representative Waltz, and not with us today is Representative Lawson, but he's been there with us every step of the way as well. You know, I can tell you as a sheriff, I've seen firsthand the impact of not only acute stress situations, but chronic stress situations, and the impact that can have on the mental health of those individuals involved. I can only imagine what our soldiers, airmen, Marines, sailors see as they go around the world protecting us in the events that they are thrown into. And so when they come back home, we owe them our gratitude. We owe them the passage of PAWS. H.R. 1022 is going to literally save lives. I have the great honor of having Canines for Warriors actually in my district. And I had an opportunity to go down and see the operation that Rory runs. Also had an opportunity to speak to some of the veterans who already had their service dog and had them for some time and were coming back and were telling me their stories. And many of them literally said, "John, but for that dog, I would be dead today." And so that's how important this work is. And again, I want to stress that this is a bipartisan effort. We understand that this is about our veterans. And so, Rory, thank you for all your work. And now it's my great privilege and honor to introduce Representative Pappas.
Thank you. Well, thank you, Congressman Rutherford. It's great to be here with a bipartisan group of members of the House who support a pretty common sense piece of legislation. Now, if we told our constituents that we had a bill here that would save the lives of veterans, that would rescue dogs, that would save the VA money over time and would improve quality of life for people who have worn the uniform of this country, that seems like a pretty easy bill for us to pass. And if you're listening, like I am, to the people in my district, veterans who have signed up to give everything, including their lives for this country, about their experience with service animals, you would know that these dogs are changing the lives and saving the lives of veterans all across this country already today. So I am so enthusiastic to help introduce the PAWS Act, to ensure that it gets a fair hearing in Congress and that we can get it over the finish line. This is an idea whose time has come. And while VA is working to catch up with what our veterans are seeing all across this country, we know that some additional funding here can help support organizations that will get more dogs out to veterans, including Canines for Warriors. So I want to thank everyone who's here, who's part of this effort. I chair the Oversight and Investigation Subcommittee of the House Veterans Affairs Committee. We have worked on a number of issues to improve services at VA. And I think one of the frustrations that we've had over a period of time on a bipartisan basis is sometimes we lose sight of the plight of our end veteran that we're looking to serve. We've got to put the veteran front and center, and if we're doing that here, we should get a broad bipartisan vote for this particular piece of legislation. So I'm just really excited and encouraged to be here. We know that the unconditional love and support that these dogs provide is incredible. These dogs can also be trained in remarkable ways to detect early signs of anxiety and distress, and even to interrupt panic attacks. And so the support that they provide our veterans is something that should allow us to be able to gain significant support and traction for this bill as we move forward over these next few weeks and few months. So I want to thank everyone who's part of this effort to support this legislation. Let's get the PAWS Act moving. And with that, I'll turn it over to my colleague, Congressman Waltz, for some comments.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good job.
Well, thank you to both. Yeah, no worries. Thank you to everyone, and really look forward to working with you again on this. Representative Stivers, Rutherford, Pappas. I'll be blunt and I'll be brief. I'm a Green Beret by background, Special Forces officer, 24 years, still going in the National Guard. I've worked with these dogs, different type of training, but the same wonderful effects downrange in across the Middle East and Afghanistan, but also here back home. And frankly, it's comical, except it's not funny, that the VA has been studying this issue, thinking about it, pondering over it for how many years now?
Decade.
Almost a decade. This needs to get done. We passed this bill out of the House last year with Representative Stivers and Rutherford's real strong leadership. It's bipartisan. Let's get it done. And I'm looking forward to getting it done with you all, and looking forward to getting it done with you, Rory, and all of your team. At the end of the day, veterans deserve the full menu, and the providers should have a full menu of options, whether it's service dogs, whether it's hyperbaric chambers, whether it's different types of therapies. But we have to get out of this paradigm of basically, frankly, providing various types of drugs to our vets when we can have these alternative types of treatments. And I could tell you, veteran after veteran after veteran that I've served with and that I deal with now tell me that these dogs work. That helps them with night terrors. It helps them socialize. They understand when the veterans has certain needs. I myself have suffered from PTSD and TBI, and I could tell you I've walked that walk, and these dogs absolutely work. We know it. You all know it. Our constituents know it. We're going to get this bill passed so that some of the bureaucrats in the VA understand it, and we get this service out to our vets who need it. We are 20 years into the war on terror. We have special operators in 60 to 70 countries as we speak, as we're standing here right now, and this is not just the right thing to do. This is a retention issue, a recruiting issue. This is how we sustain the force. This is a strategic issue to get the right types of therapies, including these dogs, out to our veterans. So looking forward to, despite what many in the media say that we're not getting anything done in Washington, we're going to get this one done again, and then we'll work with our Senate colleagues to get it on the president's desk. And I will hand over to Representative Stivers, also General Stivers, still serving in the National Guard. God bless you, brother. Thank you. All right.
Thanks, Congressman Walz. I want to thank these great leaders. Sheriff Rutherford is an incredible leader on this issue. Congressman Pappas, Congressman Walz, for everything they've done. As a battalion commander in Iraq, I had people who served under me who came back who suffered from post-traumatic stress. Some of those folks have actually gotten the benefit of a service dog, and it's changed their lives. They've gone from essentially what is a shut-in, that they couldn't do anything with suicidal thoughts and tendencies, to somebody that can now go out, experience the world, go to a movie, go to dinner, get on a plane, come testify before Congress. Rory, thank you for everything your organization has done to serve so many people, and folks are going to hear from Becca and David in just a minute. But I just wanted to mention something. Rory alluded to the fact that there are peer-reviewed studies at Purdue University. There's also another study from Kaiser Permanente, and what they show are that veterans who work with service dogs show fewer symptoms of post-traumatic stress and depression. They have better interpersonal skills. They have lower risk of substance abuse. They have better overall mental health, and they rely less on psychotropic drugs. They get their lives back. This is a giant deal. And the VA, as Congressman Walz said, has been studying this for 10 years. They finally released a draft study that recognizes what the science at Purdue and Kaiser Permanente and what Canines for Warriors recognizes every time they graduate a class. Service dogs make a huge difference for our veterans suffering from post-traumatic stress. They save their lives. And, you know, we lose between 20 and 22 veterans a day to suicide. I don't care about the cost. If we can do something that saves lives, we need to do it today. And we're committed to it. We're going to get this bill on pause done. And I know there's a couple different bills, but we are working together, one for all and all for one on dog veteran therapy. It makes a huge difference. I want to tell you one quick story about a veteran before you hear from Becca Stevens and David Crenshaw. William Parker's a Vietnam veteran. He lived with the trauma of post-traumatic stress for about 40 years before he got his service dog, Walter. He was a shut-in. He had attempted suicide multiple times, and he got Walter, and he got his life back. He came to testify before Congress. He was my guest at the State of the Union, back when we could have guests at the State of the Union, and he really got his life back. So this isn't just recent vets. We're talking about folks who've been living with this trauma for years and years. They get a service dog, and it changes their lives. So I want to thank Rory for everything Canines for Warriors is doing, and I want you to hear from a couple of their graduates, Becca Stevens and David Crenshaw, who've graduated from the Canines for Warriors program. Let's get this bill passed, and I look forward to working with my bipartisan colleagues. Now I want to hear from the real folks who know what's going on, Becca and David. Thank you. Thank you, Sheriff. Thank you. I got another man. Yeah, oh, here, it's stuck in.
Hi, good morning. I appreciate all you guys coming out here and supporting this bill that we're trying to get pushed. My name is Becca Stevens. Next to me is my service dog, Bobby. We graduated from Canines for Warriors in August of 2018, and I just want to tell you a little bit about how I ended up there and what Canines has done for me. I am an Army veteran. I served in Operation Iraqi Freedom in 2009 and 2010. When I came back from Iraq, I found myself to have incredibly increased amounts of depression, anxiety, you know, the whole 9 yards. And what that turned into was a very severe drug addiction. For 7 years, I was a full-blown heroin addict, a junkie. I thought about suicide every single day, and honestly, I was just hoping that the drugs would do it for me so that I wouldn't have to muster up the strength to off myself. As a veteran, coming out of the military, we tend to lose our sense of duty, a mission, community. Our sense of identity is fading, and we rely on the VA to take care of us. It is their responsibility to handle the maintenance and well-being of their patients. And at 20 to 22 service members a day dying from suicide, like, that's several thousand people in a year. And I was so close to being that statistic. I thankfully, after 7 years in the VA system, going from Washington State to Florida, bouncing across the U.S., I finally came across a provider who brought in the option of a service dog. And it's not something that the VA normally does. This was just an outstanding provider that is literally like a needle in a haystack right now at the VA. And because of that recommendation, I was able to apply for Canines for Warriors. And Canines for Warriors basically takes their applicants and matches them with a dog that has, that's been trained to specifically help their needs, their wants, their lifestyle. I often refer to it as the greatest dating matchup ever. And since getting Bobby in 2018, I have been completely sober. I actually got her when I was 4 months sober. I was brand new to the sober life, and I wake up every morning so excited because I have this dog by my side, and she just brings the life out of me. When you live through your service dog's eyes, life can be such a beautiful thing. And if you would have told me that 7 years ago, when my addiction started, when my symptoms started, I would have laughed at you. So I just want everyone to know how important it is for the VA to recognize that service dogs are a legitimate treatment. Right now, they recognize 2 ways of treating PTSD, and that's medication and therapy. Those ways are lazy and dated. This is stuff that is actually working. It actually gives the veteran hope. That's something that a lot of us haven't had. I have never taken a medication that's given me hope. It makes me excited. So it's so important for the VA to recognize service dogs, to be able to offer that as an option to applicable veterans, and to really make a difference in the whole suicide epidemic. And I appreciate all of you guys coming out here and listening to my story, and I thank Canines for Warriors for giving me Bobby, giving me a whole new confidence to come out here and tell my story. So thank you guys very much. I'll hand it off to David now.
Thank you, Becca, and thank you all for coming out. Like the other constituents over here, I'm going to be blunt but brief. There's a lot of talk about science with these dogs. I couldn't be here before you right now if, this is the proof right here. All the science, all the saliva samples that I submitted to. If you need science, it's right here. I'm here to stand before you to show you my invisible wounds, my vulnerabilities. I'm a recent retiree of the Army, serving 20 years as a National Guardsman. And, I went to Iraq in 04 and 05, and I came home, and as a young kid, I wanted to do what everyone else did, join the police force, become a fireman, and you're always told to bury those demons that you dealt with in Iraq. And I did that. I did that for a while, and that was my orientation for life for quite some time, even through marriage and through fatherhood. And you can only hide from PTSD for so long. I often look at PTSD as an addiction. It lies in wait to that moment that it could just grab you and suck you in and find a way to keep you down. And it did that, you know. I came home, I was successful, became a father, got married, became a police officer. I was a police officer for about 11 years. I started doing some hazardous work in the police field that started to bring back those demons from Iraq. And that started to begin my self-recognition with PTSD. I didn't want to admit to anyone out of shame and fear. You know, I started to self-isolate. I started to self-medicate. I was having night terrors. I couldn't go to sleep without drinking nightly. And it was at that time that my ex-wife, clearly PTSD has an effect, was telling me, you have problems, you need to go get help. And for so long, my orientation because of combat has always been the fight. But I was never able to fight for myself. You know, PTSD, if you come and talk about it to anyone, you're weak. And, you know, truly here today, you can see the strength is being able to stand before you guys and talk. In the what I like to call my fall from grace, I lost my marriage, lost my kids, I lost my job, and fortunately, but unfortunately enough, I was able to know a Gold Star mother, the Zelinskys, and they have a foundation and they support Canines for Warriors. And I went to them, and their sons being police officers, and we're from the same neighborhoods. And they told me, hey, why don't you try this? And so I tried it. You know, thinking back to when I was a kid, the comfort dogs bring to you, it's unimaginable. So I said, well, you know, what else do I have to lose? I only have everything to gain. So I go down to Canine, spend 3 weeks there, and within Dog Day, as we know, and this is the day we get to meet our dogs, that was probably the first time in a long time that I had a really good cleanse, and that's AKA for crying, and just to let my emotion show through. Again, my PTSD was onset as Iraq. It was exacerbated by the issues of my civilian work. So it just goes to show you can't hide this. It's going to catch back up to you. The work that you're doing down there for Canines, again, I don't want to just sit up here and be like a poster boy for them. This stuff really works. All right, I wouldn't be up here if I didn't believe in it. It works. It saved my life. It saved Becca's lives. It'll save a lot of people's lives. You know, whether we're losing veterans 20 to 22 a day from actual suicide, there's still veterans that are here walking around who are dead on the inside, and they can't socialize. They can't live a normal life. I'm able to actually get out. With all that's been going on with COVID, you would think a vacation would be good in Mexico. I left Doc at home. It was the most miserable time because I did not have him beside me. My anxiety was through the roof. And, you know, you realize, like, how much of a big part of these dogs are part of your lives. And for anyone that's got to make friends with these dogs, you already see what they're capable of doing. They change your whole disposition from the moment you see them. So I just, again, ask that, you know, everyone please support the Paws Act, and thank you for coming out today.
Wow. Beck and David, you guys are both amazing. It is such an honor to be one small part of your journey of recovery. And I was at both of your dog days and absolutely saw hope reborn on that day. Sheriff Rutherford, thank you, sir, for everything you're doing. Congressman Pappas, Congressman Waltz, Congressman Stivers, thank you for taking the leadership on this and holding the flag for our warriors. Thank you all for being here and bringing light to what we think is a critical issue and a great solution to a problem plaguing so many American veterans. And we've got a couple of minutes for questions. Otherwise, everyone has agreed to stick around for one-on-one interviews if need be. Shoot.
This isn't the first time this bill's been introduced, so what sort of been the issues the last, I think, 2 times it's been introduced, and sort of what needs to happen now?
Sure. I don't think there was a good reason the first rounds for it not to have passed. But what's different today than maybe 2 years ago and 4 years ago is the studies are now from this high to this high, saying that service dogs help veterans with post-traumatic stress. Included in that stack now is the VA's own study. The pre-report says that service dogs help veterans with PTSD. So basically, whatever excuse there was in the past is now gone.
Was there any obstruction on it, or does it just kind of get lost in the shuffle?
I'm going to be as nice as I can today because it's a bipartisan thing, and this is a good thing, and we're talking about hope. But anytime you're doing something new, when you're trying to make change, there's friction, and let's push through it.
You had said that this had passed in the House last year. Do you have enough support in the Senate at this point in time? How many Republicans are signing on to this on the Senate side?
So today,
it's close, 50-50.
Yeah, no, great question. First of all, it's a bipartisan issue, so it could be 60-40, it doesn't matter. And Congressman Stivers' version of the bill passed the House last year, and so we fully expect it's going to pass the Senate, but this is a launch. We're going to have a big rollout for the Senate, and I think you'll see a whole bunch of co-sponsors in the Senate side also. Good question. All right, well, we'll stick around after. Thank you, everyone, for being here.
Thank you, Sheriff. Thanks for your leadership. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks very much.
Very nice to meet you.
Terrific. Yeah.
Roy, thank you. Great stuff. Those graduates are powerful. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Every time I hear one of the stories, I'm like,
That's what I found.
I'm like, that's
You want
one
this?
thing I say. Thank you. I'm like, and they all